Welcome to the Backyard Bounty Podcast from heritageacresmarket.com, where we talk about all things backyard poultry, beekeeping, gardening, sustainable living, and more. And now, here's your host, Nicole.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Backyard Bounty. Today, I'm joined by Sherie, who's the Horticulture Agent for the CSU Pueblo Extension Office. And today, she's here to talk about growing vegetables and herbs, explain to us a little bit more about the Extension Office, and talk about how we can enter produce in the upcoming Pueblo County Fair. So, Sherie, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, Nicole.
So, can you tell us a little bit more about the Extension Office and what you do there?
Yeah, absolutely. So like you said, I'm the horticulture agent at the CSU Extension Office here in Pueblo County. And a lot of people don't know about the Extension Office, so I'm happy to have the chance to let some people know. Extension is a little bit confusing, particularly here in Pueblo County, because we have CSU Pueblo. So most people think when they hear CSU that we are affiliated with CSU Pueblo and that I am located on campus, but I am not. We are located downtown on Court Street, and we are not affiliated with CSU Pueblo at all, really. We are actually a satellite office of CSU Fort Collins. So most every county in the state has an extension office, and it's just as extra confusing in Pueblo because of CSU Pueblo. But every county has an extension office, and the goal of the extension office is basically to take the knowledge that they gain by doing research in Fort Collins and kind of bring that to our communities via classes, answering phone calls, booths at events. I mean, we write articles, anything we can do to get that information out to who needs it. I do horticulture. We also have somebody who does agriculture. We have somebody who does family and consumer sciences. So that would be like food preservation, nutrition, cooking, things of that nature. And then 4-H is also ran out of our office. So that's kind of our youth development program.
And so you kind of cover really a huge variety of information. I mean, I know I've used you guys everything from not only growing vegetables, but canning food and there's everything. And then of course, like you said, 4-H, which a lot of people use.
Yeah.
And so the Extension Office, it's not just a Colorado thing, right? It's kind of across most states.
Correct. Most states have extension, and it will be through their land grant university. So normally that's their state university, like Utah State, New Mexico State, will have the extension services through them. And that goes way, way back to like the 1800s. The whole extension thing started, and kind of the more agricultural colleges got the land grants to have the extension offices throughout the states and get that information out to the people who needed it. And it's become more than a rural thing. I mean, we do like urban farming in Denver County and stuff like that. So it's really expanded. But yeah, all states have them. If you contact your local state university or even just give it a Google, there's probably somebody near you.
So if somebody has questions about, something that's more specific to their area, whether it's classes or gardening questions, they should probably contact their local office. And if they live in Washington, it probably wouldn't do them a whole lot of good to call the Pueblo, Colorado office.
Exactly. But the great thing about Extension is I will totally help them to find their local Extension office, even if they did call me. So we will help with anything that we possibly can.
Awesome. So, being a resource for gardeners and people that have questions really about anything that they could grow on their property, what do you think is one of the most common questions that you receive at the office?
Yes. I mean, I get a ton of people bringing in insects, which definitely was not my thing when I first started, but I've become pretty good at IDing insects. So I get a lot of that. But as far as like the vegetable gardening thing, tomatoes are definitely the number one call. And it's a little early for this call, but I will start getting it. I know I get them every year of people, maybe like July, August, saying, I'm getting flowers, but I'm never getting tomatoes. So what's going on? And usually the answer is that it's just really hot here, obviously. And when it gets to be really hot in the summer and it gets really hot early, so, before 10 a.m., we're getting into the 90 degrees, which we were today, the tomatoes pollen isn't viable anymore. So they won't set fruit. So the flowers will just kind of die and dry up and fall off. So that's like 90% of the time the issue that we're seeing. And, it's kind of just like be patient until it starts to kind of cool off and you'll get those late season tomatoes. It's been pretty cool this year, not today, but in general. So maybe that won't be as much of an issue, but that's a huge one that I end up getting every summer.
I know I'm embarrassed to admit that I try not to tell too many people that I'm a master gardener because I feel like I don't have enough of a knowledge base to really be able to proclaim that.
You do, I'm sure.
But tomatoes, I feel like I could grow just about anything except tomatoes. I have the hardest time with them.
Yeah, everyone has their thing that they're good at, but tomatoes can definitely be hard. I have certain things that I never have any success with. Cucumbers, for example. I don't know why. I just can't do it. Everyone has their thing.
Of course. I'll just blame it on the weather going forward.
It is.
So I've talked to other people locally doing some podcasts and stuff, and, growing pretty much anything here can be challenging. We've got the heat, and we've got the wind, and of course the hail, and just the unpredictable Colorado weather. But what other, advice or tips or suggestions do you have for people that are looking to start gardening?
Yeah, it can be hard here, definitely. Especially, Pueblo West, I get a lot of people out there that have a really hard time. And I think it all comes down to amending your soil. It all starts in the soil. So if you're starting a new garden and you can amend that soil beforehand, that's fantastic. Just generally adding some plant-based compost, tilling that down as far as you can, just breaking things up, loosening it up is going to help you a lot. That's something you can kind of do gradually every year, and you'll start to see improvements year after year. If you already have an existing vegetable garden, you could even kind of top dress with compost, and it'll start to break down and add organic matter to your soil. And that's generally a really good thing to do. At the Extension Office, we do have soil test kits, and I would really recommend to do a soil test, especially if you've had issues that you just don't know what's going on. Our soil tests are really good because you can write on there, I'm trying to start a new vegetable garden. Here's some issues I've had in the past. You send in your sample and they will send you back a personalized response like, okay, hey, you said you wanted to do vegetable gardening, so we think you need to add this much organic matter or this much nitrogen, or, they'll give you something very specific and tell you even what's good about your soil. Don't worry about these things, focus on these things. They're very, very good soil tests. And the kit is free, even if you wanted to. Anybody could pick one up at any of their extension offices, and then you send them to Fort Collins, and it's only like $30, which is not bad for the great information that they're going to give you.
Yeah, we did that a couple years ago, and we paid for every possible test that they could run. And I think it was like $50 for that one, just because they did some other tests. But I think I got back, probably 5 or 6 pages of just raw data. And then, like you said, it was great because, they could say, oh, your soil pH is this and it's this composition. And that's like, well, okay, now what? But they, like you said, go through and tell you, if you want this, then do this. And they give you like exact amounts. So you don't even have to research it or think about it or even be confused. It's easy. All the instructions.
Mm-hmm. It's very easy. It is. And you just really don't know what's going on in your soil. Like, I could speculate all day, but you really don't know until you get a test. So I really would recommend that if you're having issues.
And just, it can vary so much, even just from one lot to the other. Mm-hmm. So it's definitely, that would be a great place to start that test. Or do raised beds.
Yeah, raised beds are great too. You add in that nice soil and you're all set. So.
Yeah. What other challenges do you find people around here usually have?
So the weather, obviously, like you said, it's either really, really hot or we're getting hailed on. Mm-hmm. I just wrote a blog about the hail. So kind of, when do you give up hope? Kind of blog. Basically, if there's still leaves left, I'd wait it out a couple weeks and kind of see what happens. Things can definitely come back, especially it's pretty early when it comes to vegetable gardening. So the weather here in Pueblo, we probably have some of the most variety of pests being here in the Arkansas River Valley. So, we do see some different pests and stuff in the gardens. People call about aphids a lot. This isn't so much a problem with vegetable gardens, but the Japanese beetles have been getting worse and worse every year. Maybe not so much in Pueblo West, but in town, they definitely have, particularly near the 2 large parks, City Park and Mineral Palace. Those are some of the big ones. Starting later on, I'll start getting some calls about things with tomatoes like blossom end rot and some of the more diseases that we might see. So those are a little bit of a problem. Really, most of my calls tend to be about trees.
Yeah.
So,
there's so many different issues that somebody could have, whether it's a vegetable or a tree or an herb or a disease or a pest or environmental or whatever. So if somebody in our area is looking for some advice and suggestions, what's the best route for them?
I would start by visiting the website. The Pueblo County Extension website would probably be good. There you can find our contact information, which is great because then you could just give me a call and explain to me your problem. But you can also see classes that we have upcoming. Maybe that class is something that would potentially address your issue, or having the next one coming up would be a composting class. So maybe you're having trouble with your compost. You could come to that class and probably troubleshoot a little. We also have links to the main extension website, like the state extension website, where there is just tons and tons and tons of fact sheets and what we call garden notes. And we have a ton of like YouTube videos that you can watch. Also on our website, you'll find a link to our Facebook page where I post at least twice a week kind of an interesting article that's relevant at the time. So that's really good. You can find links to my articles that I put into the Pueblo Chieftain, which are usually pretty timely for what's happening. So that could help with your questions. We also have a statewide horticulture blog called the Cohorts blog, which you can access through the website. And there's tons of great blogs on there, and they're kind of fun. A lot of them are kind of fun. So they're cool if you're just interested in that topic. But if it's something specific and you're really having problems, I would say just call the office. I'm there, pretty much all the time, or else you can leave a message. And then we also have Master Gardener volunteers on the helpline on Tuesdays and Friday mornings, so they can help you out as well. So there's always somebody available to help. And if it's something that I'm not getting it from the phone call, I'm not sure exactly what your problem might be, I can guide you to an arborist. And so many arborists are not that good. So I can guide you to somebody who's certified and kind of vetted, and somebody who will do a good job. Sure. So I can help you to find somebody to help you, even if I can't help you.
Awesome. And we'll put a link to all of the resources that Sherie mentioned in the description, so you don't have to try to scour the internet to find them.
Yeah, once you do have your vegetable garden growing really well, we also kind of run county fair out of the Pueblo County Extension Office. Pueblo County Fair, that is, not state fair. Right. Another thing that's super confusing in Pueblo, because the other counties don't have state fair. So it's our Pueblo County Fair kind of gets overlooked a little bit because of state fair. But it's really cool. A lot of it's 4-H heavy, and, the kids entering their animals and stuff. But we do have a community open class competition where any resident of Pueblo County can enter their fruits, their vegetables, their herbs. Of course, there's also, quilts and baking and preserving kind of categories as well. I don't know as much about those, but they are there. And that would be also on our website. So that is happening in late July this year, I believe. The competition is on July 21st this year. That's a Sunday. So you kind of just come in with your best vegetables, check them in. We'll do the judging. Odds are really good you'll win a prize. So because we don't have a ton of participation. I'm hoping that changes. Maybe with this podcast we'll get some more, particularly in horticulture. We have tons of people entering cakes and quilts and stuff, but I'd love to see more gardeners entering their stuff, because I know there's so many great gardeners out there. So that's kind of how that goes. And if you are going to enter, I would just encourage you to download the rules, because we do unfortunately have to turn people away sometimes, because you can't just enter this one like beautiful carrot that you grew. Usually we require like 3. Oh, sure. Just to kind of like show like you are consistently a good carrot grower. Yeah. Instead of just like one random good carrot. So, right. So yeah, unfortunately, if you only brought in one, we'd have to turn you away. So definitely check out the rules, but it is a lot of fun. It's free to enter, unlike State Fair, which you have to pay an entry fee. And it's just a lot of fun, and it's very relaxed, and it's not, you don't have to be like this amazing gardener, but if you're like, I grew some fantastic peppers this year, bring them down.
Awesome.
And it is at the State Fair.
Okay. And that information is online too?
It is. Mm-hmm. It's all on our website.
Awesome. Well, we'll put a link to that too. I'll have to see what we can drum up. I haven't entered anything.
Yeah. I have entered, and I have to I watch the judges judge usually, and try to feel like, no, these don't look good. I'm like, those were mine, but I can't tell them that. So. Right.
Oh, funny.
And you can totally watch the judging.
And that's just the one day then?
Yeah, it's just the one day for open class. And then we will do a display, and we'll keep everything on display all week. And then the next week, if you want your stuff back, you can come and get it the next week. So people usually don't pick up they'll pick up their ribbons. But a lot of the stuff is kind of spent by that time. But people will pick up their garlic and their onions and things that we'll keep. But
I imagine a week-old carrot in the heat probably
Exactly. It's kind of hot out there. We also have a lot of fun categories, like for the kids especially, prettiest bug, biggest grasshopper. biggest zucchini, which we always have tons of entries in. So we'll weigh them and see who has the biggest zucchini. Vegetable caricature. So if you have a vegetable that looks like President Lincoln or something like that, that would be cool to enter. So there's like the garden fun category, and that's a lot of fun too.
Oh, cool. And if somebody wanted to, kind of just invest in their own education and, be a little bit more self-sufficient maybe, and, have the resources to help the community, then the Master Gardener program would be a great route for that. So can you tell us some more about that program?
Yeah, I would love to. The Master Gardener program is awesome. As you know, you went through the training. And so basically how it works is the whole process kind of starts in the fall. We'll start taking applications, and it kind of is a bit of a process to get accepted because we want to have really good volunteers. So you fill out an application in the fall, and then we will do a background check. The reason we do a background check is because, the volunteers are affiliated with CSU. We want to make sure we're representing the university well. And also we do things with schools and things like that. So we want to make sure that we have reputable folks entering our program. So we'll do a background check, and then we'll do an interview. The interview is not anything to be nervous about. It's mainly a get to know you kind of thing. It'll be with myself and a current Master Gardener, and just kind of to feel out what kind of things you would be interested in doing if you get into the program. There is a fee to join, and we haven't gotten our new fees for the 2020 program yet, but that will be online when we do, and as well as applications. So once you kind of go through the whole application process, the classes begin in January, and it's a 10-week course. Now, I believe when you did the program, it was all in person, all 10 weeks. So the awesome thing now is we're really trying hard to attract more people who can't come to 10 Thursdays because it's hard, as you know, especially if you have a job. So we are about half and half in person and online now.
Oh, cool.
So you'll probably have to come to maybe 6 weeks of live training. The other ones will be online, and you can do them at your leisure. But they're still really, really good programs. So it's 10 weeks and you learn everything. I mean, we'll start with basic botany. We'll move into soils. There's a class on vegetables, a class on trees. There's, diagnostics. So like how to diagnose people's problems that they're bringing into you. We'll have a whole day on insects, and you'll just learn everything about gardening in Colorado. After that 10 weeks, it ends around April, and then you'll have till October 31st to do a certain amount of volunteer hours. And for your first year, it's 50 hours, which seems like a lot, but it's really not that bad because we do a lot of fun stuff. As you know, it goes by really fast. You could volunteer at our farmers market giving information. We have the helpline that you can volunteer at. If you prefer to write articles, we have a newsletter that we put out. There's just tons of stuff that you can do. And it ends up being a lot of fun. And the 50 hours go by really fast. Most people tell me anyway. So it's a really fun program. And then, you're out there and you're able to help the community out, share your knowledge. And I think for a lot of the volunteers, it's also a social thing. You meet tons of like-minded folks who are interested in gardening. I love, love, love seeing my Master Gardeners come together and make friends, and I hear them doing stuff outside of the program, and it builds a stronger program. So we have about 40 active volunteers. I'm always looking for more. Pueblo is probably the biggest program in the south of Colorado Springs anyway. We train a lot of the other smaller counties too. Like we'll train Fremont County and Otero County, and then they can kind of go to their home counties and share the knowledge there. But it's a really great program. It's probably coordinating the Master Gardener program is probably my favorite part of my job, and that I spend the most time on. So that's good.
I learned so much taking that class. It was really kind of information overload. I took a lot of notes. But it was a great class, and I loved it. And I really wish that I could just take it about 6 more times so that I could retain all of the information. But
yeah. And once you do take it, I mean, you're right, because especially those first couple, it's a lot. It's impossible to remember it all. But the continuing Master Gardeners, if you're like, okay, I don't remember anything from soils, I'm going to take it again next year, you can do that, and you wouldn't be charged for that. So you can kind of build on your knowledge. And they're also, the continuing Master Gardeners, we have them take continuing education credits. So you can be assured that if you're asking a Master Gardener a question, they're up on their knowledge. They've been keeping up on current trainings and things like that. So they're just such a great resource, and it's a great program to join.
It really is. I love the ability to, give back to the community, but even just at home, I've been able to use so much. And not only from now we have a more productive garden that we get better yields from, but, I've learned how to keep our large grass green without using as much water. And it's just pest mitigation and just everything. It's been a great program.
Yeah, great. Definitely. It's really cool. And you can definitely call down to the office right now and get on a mailing list, and we'll shoot out a notice as soon as applications are ready. And then it's pretty population. A lot of people will start coming in and getting them right away. But you could also just keep checking our website and we'll put them up as soon as we have them ready.
Okay, great.
We are having a booth at State Fair this year.
Oh, cool.
That's new. We haven't had a presence at State Fair, and I'm really excited to this year. We're going to have a pretty big booth. One of our master gardeners, Trisha, works for the State Fair and has helped me out to get a booth in there. And
nice.
Yeah, I'm really excited to give some information at State Fair about the Master Gardener program. And with the population growing, one of the big things that we always hear about is the water issue.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been trying to push some classes on rainwater harvesting.
Oh, cool.
Which is new-ish.
Yeah, like last year, right?
Yeah, maybe the year before. Time flies by so fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can be collecting rainwater now. And we've been doing one workshop a year where first year we built the rain barrels. The subsequent years, we've just been kind of handing out the materials to build the rain barrels.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really important, I think, just with all the new people moving here, and there's just not enough water for everybody. So if you're able to save some of your rainwater and use that to irrigate your landscape, I think that's a really great idea. So be on the lookout for the rainwater harvesting classes this summer.
I know, found them on like Craigslist or Facebook, but maybe it's not the extension office, but like the El Paso County Water Conservatory or something like that place. They actually sell pre-made barrels.
I can't think of exactly who it was either, but yeah, they do. A lot of folks are doing that with the pre-made barrels.
There's a guy in the county that sells barrels. He has like acres of them.
Really?
He has white and blue, and he has food grade and not food grade, and then he has food grade rinsed and then food grade sterilized.
Oh, wow.
I bought a barrel for my chickens. I have a lot of chickens, and they were going through their water in like 3 days, so I needed like a higher volume thing. And the food grade rinsed was 20, I think, and then the food grade sterilized was 25.
It's not. I've also heard car washes might sometimes have barrels. Like, they probably have soap in them, so you need to clean them. The ones we get from Coke, like, you could definitely tell this one was a Dr. Pepper barrel and this one was a Sprite barrel. They need to be cleaned.
Yeah.
But it's cool.
Yeah.
It's pretty fun. So yeah, rainwater harvesting, though, it's a good thing to do, like with the population growth and everything. And it's fun too, I think. And
I've been wanting to do it, but my husband's like, well, first of all, we don't get that much rain, and then it's going to get like mosquitoes and gross in there.
I will address both of those. I hear that a lot. Like, it doesn't rain here. Why would I put a rain barrel? I kind of thought the same thing. I set up a rain barrel. It literally needs to rain for 5 minutes and my barrel is full.
Yeah.
It's crazy how much will actually come off of your roof. So it totally does rain here. I mean, a small rain event is all you need to fill up your barrel. In fact, most of the time my barrel ends up overflowing. So if it's raining for more than a few minutes, I've got to make sure to go out there and open it, or it's just wasted. But yeah, and then the mosquito thing, the laws about the rainwater harvesting, they address that pretty well. So, you know, you have to have a covered lid. And if a screen would be adequate, but it has to have an insect screening over it. You're supposed to use it within 7 days so that they can't, lay their eggs. And the overflow tubes have to be so long so that they can't go up and lay their eggs in there. So there's a lot. And that's why it's so awesome for people to come to the workshop. And then you can kind of learn all that stuff about the mosquitoes and kind of squash some of those myths that it's too dry here, because it is very dry here. We'd get a lot more if we lived somewhere else, but you really can fill a barrel quite easily.
Sure.
The one thing, like swinging back to vegetables and herbs, sometimes not the best thing for edibles, the rainwater. Our rainwater is actually relatively pretty clean here in Colorado, but our roofs are not, because it doesn't rain that much.
Sure.
So they get tons of dust and like bird droppings and stuff. So
I didn't think about that.
It's sometimes not the best to water your edibles with, and you can look this up on YouTube. There's some amazing ideas for these first flush devices, is what they call them, where basically it's kind of a smaller vessel that the initial amount of water will go into. Once that fills up, it'll start going into your barrel. So you kind of rinse your roof off with that first amount, and then what goes into your barrel is clean.
Oh, cool.
If you have something like that, you can totally water your vegetable garden. But without it, I might be a little cautious.
Sure. That makes sense.
So
yeah,
that works. Well,
thank you, Sherie, for joining us and sharing all of your knowledge about the Master Gardener program. And thank you all for listening, and we'll see you again next week.
Thank you for listening to Backyard Bounty, a podcast by heritageacresmarket.com. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. If you have a question you'd like us to answer on the show, please email us at ask@heritageacresmarket.com. Also find us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Heritage Acres Market. All the links mentioned in this podcast will be included in the description. See you again next week.